So I tell you what, we could start with maybe a little bit of Tesla therapy for some of the investors who aren't feeling it right now so much, which I get quite a bit of, and people are telling me it's going to go down to 100 or even less. So I just thought perhaps we could just try and reassure them a little bit. And the fact that, this is a recession. If you're a long-term investor, you were inevitably going to go through a recession one way or another. They happen. We had the boom, and then we get the recession. But more so the point, it's just that it's not just, I was okay with recession. It's just more the stagnant period we're facing now with Tesla, with the delays and things that are hurting more. I think if we were all seeing 4680s ramp and the production up and all that, then it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad as what some people are feeling right now. Everything else is suppressed. You're seeing all stocks are down, So I think, so a bit of way to alleviate that is to just try and focus on what is really happening in the company. But it's also difficult right now, the fact that Elon isn't really paying as much attention to Tesla as we would like. And he's distracted with his mission on Twitter right now, which I'm totally behind, of course. But a lot of investors out there feel that he's neglecting Tesla and there's this stagnant period and it's making them concerned. But on the other hand, I feel like Tesla is in pretty good hands anyway, and Elon isn't as necessary to the company anymore. And the fact that he can go off and do all this, it means that Tesla is in great hands, and he doesn't need to sleep on the factory floor anymore to make 4680s ramp up or anything like that. So, but I think it's not, there's other things out there. If you can look for coincidences and things like that, so we're all focused on the 4680s, or maybe some people are on FSD as well, which is progressing pretty well. Because you have FSD, Beta?
Yes, sir, I do. Yep.
Yeah, I have not got to experience it before, but I only have.
It's awesome.
I only have autopilot. Autopilot impresses me enough. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. What is FSD like, right? So, it would blow my mind. And people are just, they're spoiled now. It's like, oh, it's not. I had to intervene one time or something. This is not perfect. It's like, do you have any idea how amazing that is? If you go back 10 years ago and imagined that there would be a car that even did that, But anyway, I don't do many models based on FSD or robotaxis because I can't quantify that. That's not really. I'm not an AI engineer or anything like that. I don't even have FSD. Like I'm saying, we can't get it here to this level anyway. So instead, I focus on. I learned everything I could about cells and batteries because I feel that is the core part, the component of the product, really, of all the products. Energy, even robots. Eventually, they're going to have batteries, right? So I learn everything I can about batteries and cells and how they work and manufacturing them. And then I felt like I understand the product. So 4680s are just phenomenal in theory of what they're going to be able to do. They're going to be able to make batteries faster than anyone else. And batteries is the limiting factor. And they're going to be supposedly $70 a kilowatt hour, which is even cheaper than LFP in China. And this isn't LFP. This is high energy dense nickel based batteries. So, and, some people think, oh yeah, okay, the blade batteries and CATL Shielding batteries, they're all kind of on par because they're structural battery packs and they cost about the same or so. Yeah, in a sense, and they're more or less kind of similar, right? And safety as well, they're all really good. But they don't factor in the fact that the 4680s are going to be so much more profitable when they go into vehicles because they're going into like a longer range Model Y compared to a BYD or something, So it's a huge deal. And when you have something that's that more profitable, of course, you can justify things like vertical integration more and massive investments, like a new lithium refinery coming in Texas, which I don't know if you've seen it or anything, but there was some YouTube videos that have showing there's a new building coming up there. And there were reports saying that this refinery was going to be starting construction in this quarter and be running in 2024. And when it comes to batteries, lithium refinery seems to be what will be the limiting factor over time. And Tesla are getting started on it now. And in 2 years' time, hopefully that's gone. And also that takes a lot of dependence on China for the whole supply chain as well. And Tesla can be more independent that way and not have to rely on anything because they're still relying on China. They basically have a monopoly on the refinery there. So, you never know what can happen. But Tesla want to do everything. They don't want to be relying on everyone or hoping that third parties are going to be able to do this or that. You never know what can happen. And then Elon talks about force majeure events as well. So yeah, they control all that. But I don't think that, it's a revolutionary new battery, the 4680, and it's been tough. The dry battery electrode, they've done the anode, apparently, it looks like, which is phenomenal. That's a major start. The cathode sounds like they're still having trouble. We haven't had any updates. I mean, it would be nice if Elon just gave us some updates on how the 4680s were going. But anyway, I don't believe that Tesla would bet the entire company just on the future of that one revolutionary new unknown technology, So and also, why would they also want to cut supplies with companies like CATL or not expand anymore? It's like, okay, CATL, we're great, thanks. So now you can make tons more batteries, but we're going to rely on this 4680, and we're not going to worry about it anymore. Despite the fact that you've made this new revolutionary battery as well, because they created a battery with an iron cathode combined with a ternary cathode, and it's not using nickel and it's not using cobalt. So it's a great battery, and it's also, I think they're saying, 20% more energy dense than an LFP cell. This is the M3P cell they're making. And if you factor all that in, then you're probably going to be, if you put it into equivalent rear-wheel drive Model 3, then you're probably going to get a range of in excess of 300 miles for the same price of battery, same cost of battery. But of course, their new batteries are structural battery packs. So that means that you can then have the front and rear castings, and you're saving perhaps 200-300 pounds of weight there, which in a Model 3 actually does make quite a bit of difference as well. Again, with all the cost savings and the manufacturing processes are so much faster with front and rear castings. So I have this, and there is this enormous factory being built about 2 hours away from Giga Shanghai that CATL are doing. And it just looks absolutely enormous. And they're saying it's 80 gigawatt hour a year capacity. It looks bigger than that, but even 80 gigawatt hours a year, and it's supposedly all for Tesla, or at least a lot of it will be. I mean, that is a massive, massive extra supply of batteries. The first phase opens in January as well. So that's pretty soon. So you time all that in, and things like Tesla's new mega factory, mega energy. So they need 40 gigawatt hours a year, their capacity. So there's this extra factory with all this extra supply, and it might be M3P cells. So they might go into the cars, and then the LFP cells that were going into the cars can go into the energy factory. And there's another 40 or so gigawatt hours there in abundance. Plus, there's also this new factory that they have recently renovated, CATL, even nearer Shanghai, which is why we're having this ramp up in China, because there's just this excess of LFP cells, and Tesla saying, okay, we finally have enough LFP cells for our manufacturing at the moment. So I think that we are going to see that Tesla haven't bet everything on the 4680s. And then there's also this new Highland Model 3 we're hearing about, right? So these M3P cells, or these new cells in CATL, they're going to be a structural battery pack. I don't know if they are going to do 4680. There's a chance it could be 4680, but like there is an LFP version of it that CATL will do, but it might be prismatic cells. But if it is, it's still going to be in CATL's battery, which is structural anyway. So they can use the front and rear castings either way. Therefore, this Highland Model 3 will have all this cost savings and a lighter car and cost a lot less and be manufactured so much faster. And if they can just cut $3,000 in cost, I'm sure that would be easily happen, right? Because maybe you're manufacturing so much faster. Now look at the Model Y factory compared to the Model 3 factory in Shanghai. The Model 3 factory is larger, but the output of the Model Y factory is almost twice as much. And the only difference in manufacturing is it's got the rear casting, and it's a bigger car that they're manufacturing there. So the capacity that they have when they start using front and rear castings and structural battery pack on a smaller car is yet to see, but it means that they can make them, in theory, a lot faster in the same floor space and at much lower cost. If they could save, if it might even be $5,000 a vehicle they can save. And if they passed all those savings onto the consumer, I mean, you in the US, you've got probably a $37,000-ish Model 3, with 300 miles of range. I mean, they wouldn't need to sell it that cheap, and then if it applies for the tax credit, it wouldn't even be close to that lower price. But either way, after a tax credit, if people are buying a Model 3 with 300 miles for $30,000, $35,000, $37,000, I mean, there is going to be a lot of demand for that car.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for stopping in. Wow.